Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever Shorty, and I'm reviewing an odd one that I took a bit of a risk on. Terrorwar. I like the title, don't get me wrong, and that is a strong cover. I like a lot of what's going on there. I like the colours, and I did do a little bit of reading on this one. It was working class guys and girls fighting giant monsters, or at least some kind of monsters. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool, I'm in for that one. And it kind of gives me a bit of an out to kind of ignore a lot of stuff I usually talk about, which is this idea of the story's been about more than what they're about. Like in this case, it's about more than fighting the monsters in some kind of far future sci-fi city. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's certainly true in this one. But the subtext is not really sub in this. They are very upfront. It's Saad Ahmed, by the way, who did a really good run on Miles Morales. And Acosta, I want to say Dave Acosta, yeah, on the artwork. And they've really made the story about the fact that these are working class people and they are living in a situation where it's very, very dangerous, and they are doing gig economy work that is very, very dangerous, and getting paid very little to effectively keep the city safe. And most of the stuff that seems to happen with these terrors appearing seems to happen in the poorer districts. So there's no real need for subtext in this one. It is just a comic book about what it's about. Don't get me wrong, I think there's some room for some extra stuff in there, but other things which I thought would be interesting to discuss are just laid out here. We have mixed race, mixed ethnicities of pretty much every the grouping that you see. In the group of people in this Terrorwar, the leader is I'm guessing either the Indian Pakistani subcontinent kind of area, but you have a big, bulky person of colour wearing a vest top and showing his muscles, who is the Doctor, a femme character who basically is the combat character, and there's just an absolute ease of gender-neutral pronouns going on. It feels like he's written this world to just be. Effectively, even though we are talking about some kind of near future or far future cyberpunk dystopia at times, it is still at least an accepting place, and people just kind of live in it. There's still problems, don't get me wrong. There are people taking advantage of, well, these guys are going to hunt down the terrors by not paying them very much and making sure that there is still a strata society with the upper class in the steel and glass fantastical skyscrapers, and then at the city level, the poor level, far more utilitarian. And there's something really nice about this setup, specifically at the lower levels, because yes, we have in the background of a lot of the shots these fantastic, glorious monuments to wealth and capital, but at ground level, it's not necessarily that stuff looks dingy and dark, although it does to a certain degree, or that it isn't as shiny or as symmetrical or even like interestingly asymmetrical. It is just far more utilitarian. And it feels like there's stuff that's gone wrong with these poor housing conditions and utilities where people have had to fix stuff just as part of their lives. So stuff looks a little bit ad hoc, looks like it's jury-rigged just to get through the day. That level of utilitarian design is really captivating. It makes me draw my eye around the page a little bit more, trying to see all these little extra bits and pieces that have been bodged onto the side of buildings. Unfortunately, it does let down the artwork a little bit at this point because you do get a lack of detail on some of the characters. Now, in a big wide cityscape kind of thing, or even when they're pulling in focus to the lower levels of it, you don't expect like full intense, like you can't make out everyone's eyelashes, but there is still some times when there's not enough attention paid to just physiology of these characters, especially the ones who are just they're there as filler. They don't have very realistic faces at times, and it's annoying because the detail is there to make me want to pay attention to it, and then I'm let down a little bit by it. It's frustrating because the rest of it is fantastic. The action sequences look delightful. There is great detail. There's the cross-hatching and the shading and the colouring all come together just to be immaculate. I really have no major criticisms on that whatsoever. I will even say that when we do get better shots of the main characters, when we get a bit more chance to engage with the detailing of them, there's a bit of a John McCrea vibe to it, and I'm never going to complain about that. It basically drifts slightly away from photorealism, ever so slightly into more comedy caricature kind of things, never too far. We're not dealing with anything too extreme at that point. It's just enough to make it feel a bit more friendly, a bit more inviting, like it's not trying to give us their version of reality. It's like, yeah, here is just a cool comic book, and I've got to say that is my takeaway from this. I don't think it's the best thing I've read recently. I've read some absolute bangers, but I can't say I didn't have fun with it. The monster design is fantastic because these are creatures that appeared from somewhere, and they latch onto people's fears. much in the way of like Stay Puft Marshmallow Men, and I kind of like that they could be anything, and it's giving the artists and the creators freedom just to have some fun with it. I think carrying on with it, there's going to be more room for a deeper plot. There is certainly hints of it in here. I'm not saying that it's all surface level, but for an issue 1, just to grab me and let me have a laugh and enjoy what they're doing, very, very successful. That's it for me for today. I'll be back with another review. There's still a couple of things I want to read before the end of the week. Hopefully, I will have time, and I'll see you soon. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!